It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young. Good evening and welcome to Monday night here on DJNTV. You might notice that tonight, I'm not only talking to a guest tonight, I've got Mark Beecher with. Good evening, Mark.
Hey, how are you, John?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us. To my, yes, I pointed the right direction. To my right,
Maybe.
The one and only Brian S. Red is with this evening. Good evening, Brian.
Hi, John. We are here on Monday. This is unusual.
We are. Well, what we're trying to do, for those of you who haven't been following, is we're trying to, kind of see if we could have a moment to talk. We'll have Jay on Tuesday.
We're going to be able to talk tonight. This is so cool.
Yeah, a little bit. So
we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. All of a sudden, there's like
my first time. You don't know what I'm capable of.
That's true. We can always mute you. It's not
yeah, Jay's got a way of getting around such things. But so tonight, the topic we're going to get into is really kind of discussing, for those of you out there, some of you are part-time and have been just seeing a lot of people talking about going to expanding their DJ business and being ready to go to a full-time. And the other day, Mark and I were talking a little bit. I thought this would be kind of a neat topic when you mentioned it, to talk about how do you balance being a full-time DJ and that family. And we're really, tonight, we're going to be coming to that from a variety of different perspectives. Mark has been is a full-time DJ. I have been a full-time DJ with family and raising children. And Brian has been like full-time DJ, full-time YouTube, full-time auto mechanic, all at the same time.
Yeah, do a lot of stuff.
So Mark, just to get things kicked off here, give us kind of a little elevator speech for those who don't know who Mr. Beecher is.
Okay, well, I'm located in the Indianapolis area, and I've been a full-time DJ for about 30 years or so. Yeah, mostly doing weddings, corporate events. I'm now out, kind of aged out of schools and, kids' birthday parties and all that. So my focus is on weddings and primarily in corporate. That's
you're in Anderson, correct?
Indianapolis.
Oh, you are in Indy. I thought you were in Anderson for some reason. Okay.
Nope.
Oh, right in Indy. Yeah, Mark and I are both Hoosiers. I mean, I am originally.
We're from Richmond, right?
Yeah. Yep, and I'll admit it openly here on the show. I'm from Richmond originally.
So I've been around a long time, and I have been involved in a lot of chat boards in the past and things like that. So I apologize for most of the things that I said in those chat boards. I could be known to be a little obnoxious, but I've settled down a bit.
Mellowing out with age, I think is what they refer to that.
Exactly.
So, Mark, you've said you've been entertaining for 30 years, and you mentioned earlier when we were talking about family that you've got a couple of children who are now out of the house. So, during many of those early years of your DJ business, you had young ones around.
Yeah, and I have some regrets on how much time I devoted to the business, but I think that anyone who is starting their own business, it's a really difficult process, no matter if you're a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, DJ. You've got to devote, you do tend to devote so many hours trying to get things off the ground and get a clientele and make some money to live, because you no longer have that full-time job to depend on. So you can kind of set aside some things that you should have priority, which is family, and that's what I did, and I do regret that. I didn't go to all the baseball games. I didn't go to all the school plays. Every Saturday night, I was doing a wedding, and that's when a lot of the extracurricular things would occur, and I missed them. And I would just want to warn anyone who is trying to start a business, a DJ business especially, take time to prioritize and make sure that family does come first, because the business will come, but you'll never get a second chance to raise your family and create an even stronger marriage if you are married.
Sure.
So I am, this is my second marriage. So I do believe that the first marriage was affected some by my constant process of developing my company, which is called Grapevine Productions. Mm-hmm. And it took a toll. It was part of the reason why that marriage didn't work out.
So as long as you brought it up, now that opens up for questions. I'm just going to let you know. So before you were married, were you a DJ first, or were you married and then became a DJ? That's always a question that comes up.
Yeah, I got out of the military around 1980, and then I had a nice stereo and a lot of records and an interest in music. So I was, my father-in-law at the time was a regular at a neighborhood bar, and they were wanting to have a 50s and 60s night. So my father-in-law said, "Hey, my son-in-law, can probably handle this." So that's how I got my start. And it was, I was married like in around 1980 and got into the business around 1985.
Okay. So you
started spinning records at that neighborhood bar.
The way I word that is, she didn't really sign up for life with a DJ.
She was not. She was not supportive at all. So that's the important part too, is picking the right partner, someone who is supportive. It's really super important.
Now, just to interject here, I've been doing this since I was 13 years old. So when my daughter's mother and I got together, it wasn't like it was a surprise that I did this, but she didn't really dig it. And it did cause problems. Having said that, she is now married to a guitar player, and that's okay for some reason. So I think she just hates DJs, which is fine, which is fine.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. Blanca doesn't. She gets it. She knew what she signed up for. In fact, when she met me, not only was I a DJ, but I was a used car salesman during the day. So she really signed into a package of goods, and she's cool with it. So that's the good news on my end.
My second wife, we met when I was a full-time DJ, and she is super supportive. I also include her in a lot in my business. So I'm always asking advice. I'm bouncing things off her. I'm including her in, she's first of all, she's very, very smart. She's a school librarian, media specialist.
Oh, nice.
And she's an advice giver. Everyone comes to her for advice. So she's great to, she used to come along with me to the events. She got tired of that. But she's always been very supportive and a big part of my company now.
Now, John, tell us your story, because you've got a neat one with Lori.
Yeah, I started my DJ activities back in high school, and then I was going to college when Lori and I got together. We really weren't doing it as a really full-time thing yet. It was still in that evolution phase, and she was involved with that. So she was there as another partner, and I kind of started, and at the time she would have been one of the groupies, because we would be DJing, and then a car full of our friends would come and follow us around to the different places we were playing. Over time, my partner and I, we split because he did shows in Minneapolis, I did shows in the outstate. Then Lori got into it as a mobile DJ, and we expanded to 2. Then we expanded beyond that, and she was very, very involved with that. So she's very, very supportive and such on that side of it, and she basically grew up with it as I did. So that was kind of a benefit from that side of it.
Right.
But
now you went a little kung fu movie on us with the audio sync. I just don't know if you knew that or not.
Okay.
Do I look okay?
You guys,
I like it. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
I'll pop. I'm going to change.
Hey, you
I'll reset.
fight me.
I'll just reset.
Yeah, you reset your camera. No, so I do know that I know Lori. Lori is wonderful, and Lori, I don't know if she still actively does events, but she did actively do events quite a bit. And there are a lot of folks who ask for Lori, or did ask for Lori, They don't want that other guy. They want Lori.
Yep, that was definitely part of it. And I think as we had more children and such, it became, she then was kind of stepping back to basically be there. She wanted to be with the kids more than she wanted to be with someone's drunken party on Saturday night.
Of course.
And as time has evolved, that's I feel that there's been a level of, that she was like, it would be nice if you'd be home. When I'm traveling, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and having to go to meetings and such. That's a struggle. That as she's mentioned, that at times she feels like a single parent, because it's like, okay, I've got to go meet here. I've got this weekend. I've got a Friday show. I got a Saturday show. Then Sunday where I'm home, and then I've got this, and then I'm traveling to a convention. Whatever. It was just always, and that became as we've gone on, it's become more of a struggle to balance all of the different things within that. And that, as Mark, you mentioned, there's that regret, and there are times where I've looked at that, and specifically there were times where kids had an activity going on, and I had a meeting going on, or even sometimes some of our DJNTV shows. It's like, oh, I didn't know the kids were going to have a band concert, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you're going to be at a concert Monday night. I've had shows scheduled for 2 months. So, Mark, how do you handle those evening events or those evening activities? Because that's something that you had mentioned earlier. And how are you able to do that, I guess?
Well, as we mentioned pre-show, once 5 o'clock rolls around or my wife comes home from school, I pretty much click off the business. I as much as, hey, this business is so much fun and we could do it all day long, all night long, all weekend. I mean, it's a blast being a DJ. we have the toys. We get to play music and make some pretty good coin for doing that. So I love the business, and I don't want to shut it off, but it would harm my relationship, which is even more important. So at 5 o'clock, I do sometimes schedule meetings, consultations, and sales, but it's not every night of the week. And we always sit down for supper. So, but I'm not on the chat boards. I'm not checking out videos. I'm not thumbing through manual for the user manual for the newest piece of equipment I bought. I mean, we kind of chill on the couch and have dinner at the table and turn off our electronics for the most part. Try to. That's really difficult. But my evenings are pretty much devoted to making my home a home and not a business.
Excellent. Good for you. And again, thank you for taking time to be with us tonight.
It's a rarity.
This is personal time.
And I couldn't get away with it every night, or even, half the nights. And I wouldn't want to. But how do you guys carve? Where do you carve time? Because you guys are always busy making videos. And do you do it during the day, or how do you do it?
I have a rule, and it's for the kids. It's specifically the girls. So there's two. One's my fault, one isn't. That's how we put it. And they both live in my neighborhood. They're both married. And one of them, has a 1-year-old who's, I'm Peppa. So here's my rule. I'm never too busy for the kids. You can show up unannounced at any time. I will stop what I'm doing, no matter what it is, as long as I'm home, and I'll spend time. I'll spend time with little Ziggy, and I will just hang out. I don't even have to say anything. I'm just going to be there. So I'm never too busy for the kids, even as adults. Now, going back to when, my daughter was younger, I think that this was a pretty good gig to have as a single father, because I was a single dad for most of my daughter's childhood. And I was able to spend, like, summer times. Are you kidding me? I spent all week with her. We'd go to the park and hang out and just do stuff. I always made it a point to travel with her. I took that kid, all over the country. Took her to Manhattan, showed her New York, took her out to LA. We've been out to Phoenix. Recently we went to Vegas. We were out in Vegas this year with John. In fact, I still travel with my kid. I like to introduce her to things and show her things. We might not always have Saturday nights to hang out, but we've got every other evening that we
Right.
can make time to do things. And that's always kind of been the way forward for us. Now, as far as my relationship with Blanca goes, we don't need to be up each other's butt all the time. So if I'm down here doing this broadcast with you and John, and tomorrow night I'll be doing it with John and Jay, she's fine with that because she's going to watch something on TV that I don't want to watch. By the way, she's an action movie chick. The more blood, the more guts, the more swords, beheadings, the better. I actually like the chick flicks, but she won't watch them. I have to watch them with our girls. So she can watch the shoot 'em up movies, but she's got to turn the subwoofer down because otherwise we're going to hear it because we're right below the living room. So it just works out. It's just, I don't know. It's a good relationship. We've got a good balance. And if she ever needed anything, she would let me know and I would stop what I'm doing. Unless I'm broadcasting like this, or if I'm gigging, of course. If I'm home in the office, I've always got time for my family. I will stop for my mother calls. I'm going to talk to my mom. The same thing when Pop was around. Dad would call. I would stop everything and talk to Dad. So that's just how I got to do things, and it seems to work out pretty good.
Well, as long as your partner is agreeable with their schedule, then there's no issue, I guess.
Well, it's not like I'm leaving the house. I'm here all the time. So if she needs me, I'm here. And she's here too. So,
and I think that concept as a full-time person who's working out of the house, and in our case, Lori and I both work out of the house with our different businesses. So you don't have a huge block. I mean, the last 3 days, she and I have been working on the roof of our house. This is the most time that we have been on the same project for years. And working that closely together, because it just doesn't typically happen. Because as Brian was saying, there's things that, Lori's got some things she's doing, I've got some things I'm doing, and then we, touch base here and there. You see each other quite a bit, but you don't have that block of time. So if there's something that's needed or a person needs to talk or what have you, that happens, and a person can jump into it. With the children, it's a little more of a struggle because of having different businesses and doing live shows, and the kids now, they'll be back in school, they'll get home and they want to start, hey Dad, let's do this, whatever. And it's like, I've got a show I'm going to be getting into. So that's an area in which I struggle with a lot, and I haven't come up with a good methodology of handling that. I found with the kids that I've been spending, I may not be spending as much time, but if I can spend a quality 15 minutes with one of the children at a time, here and there, we have a better connection than if I'm trying to do something with all the kids at once, because it just doesn't seem to work as well.
Well, no, I mean, your kids are so far apart in age. How many children?
We have 6 children, and we're ranging from 23 to my youngest is 10, I think now. And I say I think because we just had a birthday, and he throws numbers back and forth.
That's tough. I mean, my girls are 14 years apart. But you know what? Oddly enough, since Stevie was about 10, they've just been like that. I don't know. I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I've got pictures of it. It's so cute, but they gelled, and I don't know why they did, and it's never changed since then. They've just gotten close and can talk about the same things and can watch the same TV shows, and it's great that the kids get along like that. But it would be tough if one of my kids was like 3 and the other one was like 9, because I don't know. It's like the 3-year-old can't do anything. So the 3-year-old kind of sucks in that regard, but you can do things with the 9-year-old. You can go on roller coasters and go on bike rides, but the 3-year-old can do nothing. So what can you do that a 3-year-old and a 9-year-old can do? I mean, that's a problem that any parent has. And as DJs, we're no different. We've got kids in these different age groups. It's tough, but I mean, 10 you're getting better. It's getting better for you. The older they get, the more capable they are.
And we're definitely seeing.
Are you done, John? Are you done having kids?
Yes, yeah.
He's very done.
Yeah, we passed. I've hit 50, and I can. There's times where it's like, goodness gracious, just making supper and cleaning up afterwards, and it's like, I'm tired now. I'm gonna go take a nap.
I will just tell you this story, and I just thought of it. I was down here on Friday, and I spent a lot of time just kind of trying to cultivate video topics from questions and such that I get, from viewers, either on Facebook or on YouTube video comment sections. So, that's a time consuming thing where you're trying to just kind of work it out in your head. I don't script it usually. I just go with it, but the things have to be cultivated. So I was kind of doing that, sitting down here on Friday, and it was probably at about maybe 2 in the afternoon, maybe 2:30. And Blanca's up and down the stairs. And she mumbles when she talks. And by the way, Blanca's native tongue is not English, it's Spanish. So there's that, right? I don't know Spanish. Mi español es no bueno. And the laundry room is right back here. So she's back and forth laundry room. I don't know what she's doing. I'm not paying attention. But I went upstairs to get a coffee. And I looked out the back window, and she had this old antique milk jug on the patio.
Oh yeah.
And she had a wire brush, and this thing was rusty and beat up in 50 different colors. And she's scraping this old milk jug with this like hand brush, this wire brush. What are you doing? I told you when I was downstairs, I'm working on this milk jug. I'm sorry. It must have been in Spanish because I didn't hear what you said. So let's see what's going on here. So I look at it. Like, all right, we need tools. So I got my drill. I got some round brushes to go on the drill. Got my orbital sander, my Craftsman orbital sander, and my little Diablo sanding discs, like 80 grit or whatever. And we went to work. And I got my acetone out, and I'm like, okay, what are we going to paint this thing? So I found this red paint downstairs. I'm like, it's half a can, we need more. And we need rusty metal primer. So I'm going to put my mask on. I'm going to go Home Depot. I'm going to get Rust-Oleum rusty metal primer because it's a little pitted. And then I'm going to get another can of this Regal Red. So we got a can and a half to cover the can. And it looked beautiful by about 6:30. And it was done, drying. It wasn't in my plan that day. I mean, that was just a random thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the good stuff. And that's what I try to do. Anything that I had going on that day, like, you guys can wait. I'm going to get a video out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know that, and no one's going to yell at me because I didn't post a video at 4 in the afternoon. And somebody in the chat room, it was Day and Night DJs, said I never sleep. I'm doing videos at 4 a.m. I want to tell you why I'm doing videos at 4 a.m. Okay, the reason is, okay, not only does this not ring at 4 a.m., but Blanca's in bed, and I live in a 115-year-old house. I got creaky floorboards. I got 80-pound pit bull. I got her son living here. There's a lot of activity and traffic. You don't hear anything now because they know I'm broadcasting. But when we're done, they're going to start pacing the floors again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quiet at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's why I shoot so late. And if I'm trying to do a video during the day, I'm like, come on, Blanca, knock it off. She's like, why don't you do this crap when I'm asleep? Do something else right now. Okay, fine. I'll wait and do it tonight after you're in bed. So that's why I shoot videos at 4 in the morning.
Funny. Mark, one of the areas in which this is another area that Lori and I struggle with, and this is partially due to having a business, DJing, weddings, weekends, and she runs a newspaper, and now that she hasn't been DJing on a regular basis, is matching up schedules for having a weekend off or taking vacations. How have you guys handled that with your wife who's working during the week like that, and her weekend is your work week?
Well, she's a teacher, so when the COVID-19 hit, her school, she had to teach from home, and her hours were drastically cut during that time. She wasn't required to spend as much time, one-on-one with students or with other teachers doing things with them, lesson plans and that sort of thing. So we actually did have a lot of free time. Of course, I wasn't DJing on the weekends for a couple of months at least. So we got a lot of home projects done. We completed the laundry room. We finally repainted and put shelves in there. And I redid the garage completely, which really solved a lot of equipment storage problems that I was having. And I just put it off for years. Redid the office. We refinanced the house, got a lower rate, took some money out, and had it remodeled for a company. The company did that renovation. So we were really busy during that time. We spend a lot of time walking. We both are avid hikers. I have a dog that requires walking every day. So, but it was, and now since we did have so much time together, we both kind of knew we didn't want to be on top of each other's 24/7.
Right. Need a break.
Yeah, we need a break. So she would go off and do her thing, and I have an office, so I'd be in here or outside in the garage or tinkering or whatever. We didn't spend every moment together. We would have coffee in bed in the morning, which was really, really nice. One of the very few advantages of COVID, we got to drink coffee in bed in the morning, which is awesome.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
And then we'd meet, we'd go for our walk in the late morning, and then we'd have lunch. And then in the afternoons, she would do her thing. I would do mine. We're still in the house because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's important to have space as well as togetherness. She has her own interests. She's with the Indianapolis Symphonic Choir. So every Tuesday night she'd be gone, and that's when I can watch action movies by myself. She doesn't care for them.
You can get you with Blanca and you can watch that stuff.
Oh yeah, I love it. So we both have outside interests, outside activities, but they kind of mesh. We've worked it out. We've created a routine, which is really important to have that routine. Even if the routine is, we're going to have a lot of spontaneous moments where we don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do them together. We might, go to, hey, you want to go to the hardware store? Or there's not too much to go to, but go check out that park or go visit, go visit family or whatever it might be. I don't know if that answers your question, John.
Yeah, it does. It kind of does. With how it worked this year. And I think most of us had that situation where all of a sudden for most people they had that we're all of a sudden both home. We were both home. The biggest difference in our world is that we've had the kids home since March. That has
having kids.
That was different.
Yeah, that's during this time I've heard a lot of stories about going crazy, climbing the walls with trying to keep the kids their activity up and trying to just keep your sanity, just being all cooped up together in one nest. Yeah, that's tough, real tough.
I'm at the advantage where, like I say, grown and married, so I don't have to worry about that too much, but you're still there for your kids. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with my youngest this week. We have done things together. We've gone on drives, and what did we do? We went to a car show together on Thursday, and I was thinking, okay, we'll be gone for an hour and a half, and I think we ended up spending probably the better part of 7 or 8 hours together because we just we were hanging out. I remember pulling up to her house to drop her off, and I think I burned about a quarter of a tank of gas just sitting in front of her house talking to her because it was just, we had a flow. And like I said, if the time's right, I always got time for the kids. So yeah, let's talk. It's like Mark said earlier, it's not always about the quantity of time, it's the quality of time. It's what you do when you have time is very important. You don't want to smother anybody,
Right.
but you want to give them time and you want to let them know that you're there for them. I do anyway. That's
Well,
all
we
I
are all older DJs and found our routines. This advice would mostly be going out to those just starting a business and not falling into some of those pitfalls that can happen so easily.
Well, what you experienced, Mark, with your first relationship and your first marriage was, I think, something that I learned very early on, just watching others, because I saw it happen. Whoever you end up with, make sure. I shouldn't say it like that. It's ideal if if your significant other understands what they're signing up for. So, if you get married and you work a 9 to 5 job, and then all of a sudden 3 years in, you decide to go be a rock star, they didn't sign up for that. This is something that they agreed to when they got together with you. Now, sometimes it's going to work out fine, sometimes it's not, but that can be stressful, I think, for a lot of people, just younger people getting into this, and then finding the relationship and then getting into this. I think it's best if you are already a DJ and then meet somebody who's cool.
Well,
with being a DJ.
that's going back to maybe if you are working a full-time job and you decide to jump the cliff, you're DJing part-time and decide to go, I'm going to go full-time. I'm quitting my full-time job with benefits. I'm going to set up an office at home or start meeting people at Starbucks, and hopefully I'll have enough gigs to support us.
Right.
That's when you need to bring your partner in to be a partner in your business as well. So they'll have a invested interest, same as you.
If they want to. I will tell you right now that Blanca wants nothing to do with this at all. I mean, we met salsa dancing, like at a club. So she likes that part. And early on, her impression of me going out and gigging was, oh, you're just having fun.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm working. Yeah. You can't be working. You're at a club. Come on, guy. You're partying. It's like, no, this isn't what's happening. And so I said, you should come with me just to see what it's like. And I remember the first time she went with me, and I will tell you this, there's nothing that's more of a downer than a bored Puerto Rican woman sitting behind the DJ booth on her phone. That is the worst. You don't want that.
No.
And then after my stroke, she would help me occasionally. And we had this thing for a while where the agent that I do work for occasionally would sell me as a DJ to like a company party or to a wedding reception as this bilingual couple who DJs. It's like, stop doing that. Blanca does not want to do this. So we worked it out. Well, I already know my Spanish music, so that's not a problem. We don't MC in Spanish, but her being present there was enough for many of the Latin guests. They're like, okay, someone's here representing us. We don't know what she's doing there, but and if I'm playing salsa, she's going to sway back and forth. She's going to dance. So, she will do it if I twist her arm, but she would rather not do this, which is fine. It's my thing. It's like my daughter. I mean, my daughter's a fantastic DJ. She can mix tunes. She can MC. She's amazing. She's been doing it since she was tiny, but she hates it because that's dad's thing. So she got into photo booth, and now this year she started her own event company. So she's doing chair covers and decor and things. It's related, but the DJ thing is really dad's thing. Yeah. So to separate it, I think, is okay too. It just really depends on your situation. You got to feel it out. You don't want to force anybody into anything, but you don't want to deny anyone anything either. You give them the opportunities, and if they want them, great. If they don't, that's okay. But it's always you're right. It's about inclusion, but
and also
willing inclusion.
I mean, this business can overtake us. We're so excited about it, and there's so many possibilities, things, directions to go, and we've got all this passion for our business, but that shouldn't overshadow our partner's passion for what they're doing as well.
Good point.
You need to be a really good listener and not just let the business overtake your lives, both of your lives.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's a really good point. I've had the conversations with DJs, and it's like my wife doesn't understand me, and generally it's the guy saying this, and it's like, oh, well, what? Well, I want to tell her about my shows and my events, and it's like, well, what does your spouse do for it? Oh, she does whatever. It's like, oh, and who does she work with? How much do you know about that? Oh, I hate listening to her stories from work.
Oh, wrong. You can't.
Okay.
Oh, bad.
There's a problem here.
Right.
So yeah, having that, it's got to be the communication thing. It's so important.
I'm that guy, and I was even telling my daughter this the other night. We were talking just about relationships and things, and I said, I'm coming at this from a very unique perspective when I offer you advice. Daddy has had 1,000 relationships, and he's screwed up 1,000 relationships. So I know what works, I know what doesn't, because I've actually experienced this stuff. You're kind of weird, like your grandparents. You're going to get married young and stay married forever. But Daddy did this a lot and did a lot of things wrong. And I know what works, I know what doesn't. So, just learn from the wise old man who's been around. Because I tell you, not every, because there was space between Blanca and her mother, and yeah, boy, I mean, obviously none of those relationships worked out. And some of it may have had to do with my profession.
Yeah, very possible.
Well, offering advice oftentimes isn't wanted or appreciated. You can tell people, if you're explaining or giving advice, telling them what happened to you, and the person might say, well, that's not going to happen to me. I mean, any advice that just is unsolicited or is maybe a warning.
Good point.
The common one is, you should put back money. You should save a little bit every week. Yeah. I'll do that. No one wants to hear it until they're ready to do it.
We have an understanding, and it is this. If it's a situation where, Dad, I just want to vent, so just listen, that's what's going to happen. If it's a situation where it's like, Dad, I need to know what to do, help me out, then I'm going to offer advice on it. And the other thing is, Daddy's always right. So, but you're going to love this. This has always been the case, and she hates it, because when she asks me about something and I tell her kind of how I think it's going to go, it goes pretty much that way. And so she's decided that it's not that I'm always right. It's that I'm actually a prophet, and I prophesize things.
You prophesy.
So if she doesn't tell me about them, I won't prophesize them, and it'll be okay. I'm just a really good prophet.
Yeah, you've got that magic 8-ball in the back.
Yeah.
Magic 8-ball. Will it happen? Ask again later. Oh, dang.
Obviously, I've got a good relationship with my kids. Yeah. So that's, and I'm a parent, but we have fun, and I'm myself, and I've always encouraged them to be themselves. And none of my kids are like me. They don't think like me. They don't believe the things I believe. We probably don't even vote the same. And that's because I didn't tell them to be like me. I told them to be like them. And I'm really proud of all of them for doing that.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, my kids are nothing like me. And I tried to get my son involved in this business. I could give him all the tools. I could give him all the equipment. I could give him all my knowledge. He wanted none of it. No interest whatsoever.
Yeah. It was like that with my dad too. I mean, he was a machinist, and he was really good at math, and I'm not good at math. And I'm like a carpenter. Like within a quarter of an inch, it's close enough. It's fine.
Not a machinist.
A rough carpenter. Not a fine furniture builder. A rough carpenter. I'm within a quarter of an inch guy, and it's kind of straight.
Somewhat level. We're good to go.
But having said that, I'm diving into the stuff that that did teach me, building the car and such that I'm doing, and I do wrench on my own stuff.
Well, that's a good point, to have hobbies to set aside the DJ business, so when you come back to it, it's fresh and exciting. We probably do this with, I don't know if you guys do this with songs, but if things aren't going really, really well, throw in a clunker you know is not going to work, and then when you put on something decent, it's like it excites the crowd.
I would get mixes in my head, and I would try to work them out on like, dual CD players or something. And I just couldn't work it out. And I remember when DJ software became a thing, I would then go and try it in the DJ software and see if I could work it out there. And then if I couldn't work it out on DJ software, I'd try to work it out on records. So there was like 3 different formats that I could try to work out that mix. And between the 3, I would always nail it somewhere. I just would have to look at it from this particular angle and work it out. But yeah, I burn out from this. I did last week. I didn't do any videos last week. I worked on the car a little bit. I don't even know what I did. I think I just did some stuff around the house.
I was going to say, I noticed, I was looking, it's like, gosh, Brian didn't put anything out last week.
It's time to take a break.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything to say. Now I have plenty to say. I've had time to think about it. I've had time to kind of step away from it and reflect a bit. Now when you get back to it, you're very excited and you have new ideas and you're fresh. But if you just are constantly, nose to the grindstone on the same thing day after day after day, you're going to burn out or you're going to run out of fresh ideas. I do anyway. So it's nice to have a variety of things to do or to, switch it around. I took a break from the car for a while because I just wasn't getting anywhere and I wasn't understanding it and I needed some help and I got help coming, but I took a break. Now I'm back on the car and I'm seeing things in a new way. It's good. Like Mark said, it's really good to have that hobby or that distraction or that other thing to do. I think it makes you a better DJ, a better family person.
Like I said in the beginning, I live, breathe DJing, but I know you can burn out from it, and you need to have a distraction and other things going on in your life besides the business.
Yeah.
And that goes, with anybody, with anybody's business, anybody's work, professional life. You can get too wrapped up in it. It's pretty simple to do.
Very quick, very easy.
No, I am not a mechanic. Just so you know. Some people say, "Hey, he's a mechanic." No. Stop accusing me of being a mechanic. I'm kind of a hack, but I enjoy it. And I can usually make stuff run, but maybe it's not right. I kind of took a shortcut and made it happen. I feel like I'm a really good DJ. I'm not a really good mechanic, and I'm not a really good carpenter, or I'm not a really good anything around the house. But I can do it, and I enjoy it, and it's something fun to do. Maybe not a distraction, but it's practical stuff. I like that about it. It saves me money, usually. Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes
it ends up costing me more, but usually I can save money by doing it myself. But yeah, I mean, the DJ thing I feel like I'm very good at. Everything else I just like doing. But I have no delusions of ever jumping into anything like that as a trade or something I'd make money at. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I have zero talent outside of DJing. I would have no idea. I would have no idea if I had to stop what I would do.
This becomes.
When I bought my first house, I was 26, and I knew nothing about anything in the house. My father, like I said, was a machinist, so he would measure everything like within the thousands with the micrometer, and my head just couldn't figure that out. I said, anything that you have to do with tools is just too hard to do, so I'm not going to do it. I remember I had a plumbing issue, and I had to call the city because it was near the meter, and the city water utility people came to the house. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. This thing broke or whatever. I'm not getting water pressure. Like, we're going to take care of this for you today. We're going to put a new meter in because this is the old style. And we're going to just do this one run here. But we're not supposed to. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to teach you how to solder copper pipe today. We're going to show you how to do this. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, just do us a favor. If anybody calls you, tell them that we were wonderful. So they did. These guys took the time, these city engineers took the time to teach me, a 26-year-old kid, how to solder pipe. And it was like, wow, I can actually do this. And then, it was just one thing after another. And then you read books, and then, wow, internet, this is amazing. Let's look here. So that's how I learned to do things. And like I said, it was never anything where I'm great at it. I think I took pictures of this. My oldest just moved into a duplex they've been using as a rental for a couple of years, but she just moved into one of the units with her husband and her kid. And they had this masonry front porch, and the block was very jacked up on it. Do you see those pictures, John?
Yep, I did.
Yeah. I did a patch on it.
Mm-hmm.
No, the patch is a patch. I didn't try to make it look like it was brand new. I wasn't trying to do anything other than make it better than it was. I did it. I tore my hand up really good doing it, but I did it. I'm not a mason, but I just dug in and did it. And it cost me, I think, $8 for some block and some concrete, or for some mortar, not concrete, mortar, and some plastic spackling knives and one-armed. I went over there and did it with Blanca's help. So not good at it, but made it happen. And that's good enough sometimes.
I do have a backup plan. I mean, if this were all take a nosedive,
okay.
I do have $1 million idea. And I'm going to share it with your viewers.
Please do.
And I even tried to get my son to do this. The idea is to go door to door selling no soliciting signs.
I like it.
It would be incredibly.
Can you imagine the reactions?
Do I annoy you? If I annoy you, you should buy one of these.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, guys, we only got a couple minutes left. I wanted to kind of wrap with one last thought here. Since we've had the summer where we basically haven't been doing shows, we've been home spending time with our loved ones on weekends, which we're typically not. Is there anything that you've experienced this summer that, Mark, you mentioned, the coffee in the morning together. Is there something that you're going to take from that, a positive experience from this year that you're going to continue on after we even get back to work and we're doing our things?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there. I mean, 99% of this has been just terrible. I mean, for everybody, and it continues to be. You asked about vacations, and we take a spring vacation to Jamaica every single year. We have for the past 18 years. We usually will take a fall vacation, and it looks like we're not even going to be able to do that. So we're going to appreciate our vacations more, and I think we're going to appreciate the freedoms to just go to restaurants, and the freedom not to wear masks, and the freedom to hug our relatives, those sorts of things. I think we're just going to appreciate everything so much more.
Brian, what
the things that we've lost?
Yeah,
temporarily, hopefully.
I think I'm with Mark. I mean, it's just a matter of just appreciating what we had, and being able to do the things that we like to do, and not taking them for granted.
Use 20 sheets of toilet paper, as much as you want.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It isn't costing us $35 for 12 rolls.
But I've learned some things. I've learned about shopping smart and not making as many trips out. And we are doing this as, for everything in our house, and usually every day I'm leaving the house to go get something, or not doing that now. We're always ready to just dig in for a few days, unless we need to get rusty metal primer and,
and you got to get that.
That's
an important thing.
But yeah, it's just appreciating things, which I already felt like I was pretty good at doing, but yeah, I've learned to, I don't want to say consolidate, but I guess I have just being more efficient when it comes to going out and doing things. And if you're going to stay home, enjoy your house, enjoy your yard. If you have nice weather, enjoy the people you're with. Anything's broken, fix it. That was a big thing. I mean, there's a lot of things that, have been just not right for a long time, and you don't really think too much about it. I did all those things. Organizing, the door's not shutting quite right. Well, let's fix that. Hey, the bathroom door's not shutting quite right either. Well, we're on a roll. Let's do all the doors.
Yeah.
Those kind of things have been nice. It's been good in that regard again.
Yeah, I think a couple of the things Mark mentioned, the going out to eat, that's going to be something that we were starting to do, and it's definitely up there on the things we miss, where we just go out and have in essence a date night and going out.
Mm-hmm.
You miss that, but there's parts of this that are things that I'm going to want to continue. As Brian mentioned, the shopping trips. We would probably be running to one of the major cities, larger cities around here, a couple of times a week to go and make a grocery run and doing this and doing that. Well, we've been condensing things down, or finding out that we can buy some additional things locally and not have to go and waste an hour on the road each way. So, the shopping part has definitely been nice to not be making those trips all the time. And probably the biggest one is when we're at home on a Saturday. I'm at home on a Saturday night. This Lori has her work. It's her day off. In essence, she's in the middle of 2 or 3 days off, or that she can take time. So the idea of doing projects as a family and such, and working on things together, has been kind of cool. And that's not something I've been able to do for whatever reason. Either I have a show over the weekend, so I couldn't really get super involved with it, or there have been times where we've had something that I knew it was opening, like working on the roof this past week. I knew it was going to be a can of worms, and it could be anywhere from a 2-day to a 10-day project, depending upon what you get into. So there's things that I wouldn't get into. So it was kind of nice to have those opportunities to say, you know what, I can start this project, and if it does take 10 days, I've got the time. Let's do it. And that's cool.
I've got an event coming up Saturday, and I don't know what you guys do when you've got a wedding coming up, but what I do is I go into gig prep mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, and that takes a lot more time than just a couple of hours. I mean, I'm working on this it's probably a full-time job that week, the week before, just to do it. It's probably 30, 40 hours easily. But I'm making an effort to have everything wrapped up tomorrow. Tomorrow I've got the broadcast with you, and then I've got a meeting with them. I think I can wrap the timeline up, and I've got all the equipment ready. I've got everything charged up and ready to go. And the reason I'm doing it that way is so I can go see Mom on Wednesday and not worry about it, because I want to spend time with Mom. So I've learned to manage time better, and I've learned to just take advantage of whatever little segment of time I have to do things. We haven't been on these schedules like we normally are, where we feel like we have to do things at this time of day or that time of day. And like your room's saying, I work all hours anyway. But yeah, I'm consolidating a lot of things and just trying to get things wrapped up so I can spend that quality time. Normally maybe I wouldn't worry about it, but I want to go see Mom.
For sure.
Because if I'm around people at a wedding, the responsible thing for me to do is not go see Mom for a minute.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm cool before I visit Mom. So I want to see her before I go do this. So getting it wrapped up now would be a really good thing to do, so I can spend some time.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Wise decision. Mark, thank you for being with us tonight.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun and good chatting. Brian, thanks for coming in on a Monday night. That was unusual. Now your week's going to be all messed up.
Yeah, not thrown off. It's bad enough where we did an 8 o'clock start time instead of a 9 o'clock start time.
Yeah, that's okay. You're young. Now this gives you more time to shoot videos until 4 a.m. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We're going to wrap things up. We'll be back at the top of the hour here in about 5 minutes. Dan Carpenter and I are going to be, he's got some events that he's been doing recently. We're going to talk about that and a couple of other things as he's been getting back into. Mark, Brian.
And I said hi.
I will definitely do that. Thanks, guys, for being with tonight. And we'll catch you guys.
Thank you, John.
Good night.
Catch you, everyone. Bye-bye.